for that. All right, we are live, and I'm gonna check. It was acting funky, so hey, everybody, as you come in, say hey. I'm looking. I always do this. I look down, and then I realize I have to look up. All right, as you guys come in, say hey. Let us know where you're coming from. If you're coming from YouTube, Facebook, wherever it is. Okay. Now I was gonna say I have to look. I have to pull it up on my phone to make sure that the comments are coming through, because where everybody's online still, there's sometimes a disconnect between the streaming services and the social platforms. So, all right. So as you guys come in, say hey. Oh, Angela's on. I can see who's on right now. So this is pretty cool.
Oh, I can't see anything.
So for anybody watching this, in case you're wondering about doing a show through StreamYard or something, when you're on the actual broadcast studio, like we are in here, you can't see who's on it. But if I pull it up on my phone, then I can see it through the watch party and everything. So Angela's coming from Facebook in Florida.
Oh, hello, fellow Floridian.
Floridian?
Oh,
it's better than what they call us up here in North Carolina. When I came up here at 16, they used to say, hey, they used to call me a Floridian. And I was like, that's not very nice. I was like, that's not very nice at all. But it is what it is. It's funny now. I laugh. All right. As you guys come in, say hey, let us know where you're coming from. As always, drop comments, interact. Feel free to be a part of this conversation and this story. This is as much your table as it is our guests and my guests. So I am so excited. If you catch us on the replay, #replay. And if you just love these stories and love the women that come on here and just want to bring more people to this table, then share. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube at the Tough Woman Table, as well as iTunes, Tough Woman Podcast, which has 6 episodes now, you guys. I just released it. I know.
awesome.
It's crazy. That was the other part. Before I drop into my intro, me and Mary were talking about how we've been since we last talked to each other. And I was talking about the pause. We talking about the pauses that we've received since, COVID. And I actually plan on talking a little bit more about my pause in depth later on, not on this, but because I think it's relevant to people right now. But one of the things that taking a pause and coming back and taking a step back from the hustle has allowed me to do is really dive into pushing the show out further. 6 podcast episodes, which is really neat. And we're this is episode 76 of the table episodes, but really we're on episode 84 of the whole show. So that's a a huge deal.
That's really awesome.
I know. So I'm so excited. I think about all the things that bring me joy, and I realize that right before the show, even if I'm having a really bad day or I'm just not feeling it, I know that I'm getting ready for the show, and I'll be getting ready for the show, and I'll sit down in this chair, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel so excited. I'm just so this show, and you guys give me so much life. So it's very exciting. But all right, no more time for that. That's for another day. I'm going to drop into this epic intro. You guys are going to have some fun, and Mary's going to tell an awesome story. I can't wait. I feel like I've been waiting for a very long time to hear this. So
I know. I mean, ever since I think we met, this was last year.
It's funny. Angela's watching, and I said one day she's going to be on the show. So Angela, just so you understand, one day you're going to be on the show, because when I met Mary and I told her about the show, and it was still kind of midway through, I said, one day you're going to come on and you're going to tell your story. And she said, yeah, maybe one day I'll be ready. And guess what? Here we are. So Angela, one day you're going to come on and you're going to tell your story. Okay. So just understand that's happening. Yeah. All right. I'm going to drop into this intro and we're going to go. Angela says, oh, hello, Jade. Hello.
My sister-in-law. Hi.
Yay. Hold on. All right.
California.
Oh, well, I hope you are staying safe out there. I hope you are staying safe and yeah. All right. Hello and welcome to the Tough Woman Table, everyone. Enough of my rambling there. The table where I invite some super badass women like Mary to take a seat. I was about to say Jade, take a seat, join in on the conversation and share her amazing story. At Tough Woman, I believe that all women have the power within themselves to live an authentic life free from fear, confident in who they are, and empowered to go out and create a life that sets their soul on fire. I share this belief by championing tough women who have walked through the fire, felt the fear, faced adversity, and kept pushing through it all. Women who now live the life they want as the woman they were created to be, and women who own their stories so other women can embrace and own theirs as well. Because as we all know, when you give yourself permission to own and share your story, you give someone else the same permission. And hold on. Angela says soon. Yes, soon. And Jade, I bet you are. And you are more than welcome to come on my show one day if you would like. I'm always looking for more women to be on this show. So anyways, all right, you guys. So as you guys can tell, me and Mary know each other. Sometimes I'm really privileged in that most of the guests that come on here, I've had some recent, like previous, some kind of experience with them. And then sometimes I meet someone like the day of the show, 15 minutes ahead of time. Like it happens. Yukiko, I want to say this.
One of my best friends. Yes.
Okay. This is happening live. So feel free to interact. As you can see, we'll pull comments up as we go through the show. So yeah, feel free to interact and be a part of this. But you guys, I'm really excited to have Mary come on here. I got to hear a little bit of her story a while back, and I remember saying like, just one day you're gonna share your story, and it's gonna be huge. And shout out to Alex Agresta for introducing us in her group. So, and she says hi. Oh, I love it. You have such a wonderful support system. That like makes me so happy. It's always fun to see people come out, you know. But all right. So without further ado, I would love to introduce my guest, Mary.
Wait, I think my dog wants to say. Okay. He's always by me. Hi, everybody. Oh, yes. You've known me a long time, too. Yeah, we're a couple of badass women from high school. I met Ashley probably, I don't know, last year around maybe June, somewhere. We were in
a group. We're in a group together.
We got paired up to like discuss a certain word. I think it was what Alex had gave us a word, and we had to be accountable to each other. That's what it is. We had to keep each other accountable for something. But no, my story that I started when we started talking was what I was going through at that time of my life was being separated and trying to find myself. That was really the biggest thing for me, was trying to find my footing, trying to find my definition of who I am. And it's taking me like this long to even get like a smidgen of it, and a lot of trial and error, and a lot of pain, and a lot of books, and just kind of like, like we had discussed earlier, is going through all those thoughts in our head and seeing what are those thoughts is going in my head. Are they true, or am I making it up? And is anything in there even valuable for me to keep? And throwing those out was the hardest thing. And I think my biggest breakthrough was probably in March, when we started this whole pause with the lockdown. The Monday before, the Saturday before the actual lockdown, I actually went skydiving. I always wanted to skydive. So I decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to buy a ticket and go skydiving. And two of my friends actually encouraged me to go skydiving to kind of get out of my funk, because I was in a really, really horrible funk. I couldn't get out of it. And they said, do something that you always wanted to do, that you always liked to do. I'm like, yeah, I always wanted to go skydiving. And they're like, yeah, do whatever. So I did. I literally, after that conversation, I went and got a ticket and bought it, and I went by myself. Walked in there. Before I even walked into this place, I had been like crying the entire time on my way there. And I was crying the night before. Like I had been crying for like every single day. And half time, I really don't know what I was crying about. But I was going through something, and I just didn't know what it was, and I still don't really know what I was going through at that time. I would say it had to do with relationships, but I think it has a lot to do with me, because there were things that I had been fighting inside about myself that I didn't want to admit, that was really kind of destroying the person that I thought I was. So it was a realization that, crap, I really have a lot of stuff that I really need to face up to. So I'm like, those are the things, it was like an hour away. So it was a long drive for me. So when I got there, guys were like, where's your party? I'm like, by myself. They're like, you're jumping out of the plane by yourself. I'm like, why? Nobody does that. And they're like, no, you not see people? They all have somebody with them. I'm like, well, I'm me. I'm here by myself. Can I just jump by myself?
I have me, okay? I have me.
Exactly. It's just me. So they were really sweet. They took care of me from like point A to like, from the time I signed my name in the waiver up to the time that I got out of the plane. And the one thing that taught me was I can really do something for me by myself. Because, oh, it's Alex, she's on. Sorry, I just saw her. But the one thing that taught me is, I am really capable of doing things by myself, for myself. I don't need another person, be it a mom or a dad or a significant other, your kids or your best friends, or because we define ourselves as we're someone based on what other people think of us. That was one of the biggest things that I had to realize about myself was, I'm a nice person because so and so said it. I'm a good person because so and so said it. But at the end of the day, am I being nice to myself after going through all those thoughts in my head when I'm constantly just beating myself up? And jumping out of the airplane literally took me into new heights, 18,000 feet. Okay, 18,000 feet, and I had no choice. I had no other choice but to jump. I was stuck on someone else. I couldn't say, hey, take me off of this. I was literally sitting at the end of that plane going, are you ready? I'm like, what am I gonna do? So, and he was like, are you ready? I'm like, I guess. I mean, what am I gonna do? I can't say no. I'm already here. And letting go at that moment, letting go of just what I was then and what those thoughts that were going through my head was like the biggest peace, wildest peace feeling I've ever felt in my life. I was just like literally like jumping. I put my arms out like this, and that was it. I've never felt like balance and just calmness while being up there. And you're flying. I mean, you have no chute on. You're just dropping from the sky. And I'm like, well, I can enjoy this or die. What am I gonna do? And that's, enjoying that moment is when I realized, I'm like, man, I really lived the last few years in my life with what happened to me in the past. And while I'm flying there, I couldn't think of anything else. I was forced to just think of what was going on right then and there. And that's when I go, oh, this is what they mean by living for the moment at the moment. Because I couldn't think of anything else other than what was happening to me right then and there. And it was probably the happiest time I've ever felt in my life, was just jumping out of that airplane and just flying and seeing the clouds and the blue sky and the horizon. You could see the curve of the earth. And I mean, it's just a very interesting and wonderful, out of this world feeling. And the funny thing was, after I did that, about a couple weeks later, I read a book called Waking the Tiger. And that book has been an eye-opener for me when it comes to talking about trauma, because I lived with with a spouse with a PTSD, and we lived with that for 10 years. And my biggest problem was he got help while I didn't get help. The family didn't get help. And I used to get so mad when the counselors would say, that I'm not necessarily me as a toxic person, but our environment was toxic because we've lived in that PTSD mindset for so long and we didn't know how to get out of it. So like we were stuck. We were just stuck in that world of pain and suffering and being a victim. So reading that book, it explains the very first chapter that what happened to us when we go through a trauma, we get stuck in a loop, and it's a physiology issue. So when we go through a trauma, like our body literally goes through like a tornado inside, basically, and we don't know how to let that out. So for an animal, say like a dog, and they get excited about something when they see a squirrel or whatever, we tend to either let the dog out and kind of experience through the process, go chase a squirrel or whatever. But when we don't want them to do something, we try to soothe them and say, oh, it's okay, you don't need to do that, you don't need to do that. What that's doing is you're kind of trying to bottle all that energy inside of that animal. So instead of letting the fear or the excitement express itself out physically, now it's stuck. So the dogs, they start shaking. So they shake to a point where like they go nuts. I know my dog does. He goes crazy when he can't let out that energy. So he starts running around until it's gone. But as human beings, we don't know how to do that. So when we go through when we see a trauma, when we experience a trauma could be anything. It could be, like a natural disaster. It could be what we're going through right now with COVID. We can develop a trauma out of that. But because we don't know how to let ourselves go through that physical process of it, we get stuck in a loop. And then we almost like try to recreate the same problem. So trying to kind of let the process go through its phase. So when I was going through my own trauma with what my husband was experiencing with his own PTSD, because I developed like a 2nd-degree PTSD with him, that airplane that jumped from that far of a height and not have any fear and just kind of letting go of things kind of helped me actually break that physical loop that I had with my trauma. Because I can tell you, after I got out of there, I sat down in my car for a little while, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't crazy, because I've never felt like I can just let go of things. I don't have the need to hold on to anything anymore that had no use to me. Like my story from my past, that was the biggest thing that actually came up was, do I really want to continue living in that? Do I want to be that same person? What if I change it? What if I change that story? Do I have that choice? Yeah, I have that choice. I can change it. So once I said that to myself, and having to realize and say, oh my God, I can do it. I can do this. I can change my story and actually change where the trajectory of my life will be. Rather than be stuck in a loop in the past and continually living that person, that life over there, and have that anger and that the necessity to blame others just to feel better. And that was my biggest thing, was blaming other people so I can feel better about myself. Letting that go was probably the biggest thing, the biggest gift I have ever given to myself. Because now I don't need to hold on to things. What am I gonna do with them? It doesn't do me any good. What, am I gonna carry them around? What for? You know what I'm saying? And once you actually tell yourself to just kind of brush it off and just let it be, when someone says something to you that would upset you, you kind of just go, oh, okay, I'm sorry that upset you, but that's just, I'm just being truthful. Or when somebody say, like somebody would say something hurtful to me, and before I would probably go off and start cussing the person out or whatever, I just go, okay, that's your opinion. You feel that way. That's how you feel. I can't control that. That's on you. That's not on me. And I really starting to live that path now, to where I really am more aware of how I react to things, because that's the only thing I can control about myself. Is I can't control how other people treat me, or I can't control how they say the things to me that doesn't, hurt my feelings. But I can control how I accept those things. I could, if it starts to bother me a little, then I start asking questions like, why does it bother me? What is it exactly about that question bothered me? And it kind of takes me back a little bit, and then kind of do an inward, um, I guess, analyze myself a little, and ask myself, well, did did he say that because to piss me off, or did he say that and I got pissed off because based on what I experienced in the past?
Mm.
Big difference. Now I'm taking responsibility for it. Now I can change that story on how that's going to turn out. You can use that in business, which I do a lot. You can change how you react to things. Rather than be reactive, just be proactive and start thinking about, well, what is it about this conversation that's going to be a benefit to me? And what is it about this conversation that I need to throw away?
Mm.
Keep what it is that's going to add value to yourself. Anything else you can try. You can just trash. You can put it away to the side. Some maybe you could put in like in a little box. I'll come back to you later, and we'll see what we can do with you. But you don't necessarily have to like carry it right then and there and then figure it out. And before, I would sit there for like days and days and days and be pissed off at somebody, and not know like why, the reason I really got pissed off in the first place, because it's been like 10 days. And now I'm just like, okay, I got mad. Let it go. Just let it go. What was the reason that really pissed me off? Oh, that was a dumb reason. Just let it be. There's no need to hold on to that anymore. And with the pause too, and that was one of the things. I'm sorry, I'm jumping now. After I jumped out of there, I told myself that I need to like kind of like just cut ties out of everything. So I cut ties of like, just took a pause from work, friends, family. The only family I had were, that I really had to deal with are my children, and because I can't get away from them. My daughter, who lives in New York, calls me almost every day. She texts me all the time. So I can't even get away from her, and she lives up there. So, I mean, those are really the kids the only people that I have responsibilities to are my children. Everybody else, I can say yes or no. Now, before, I would be afraid to say no. I'd be afraid of hurting other people's feelings by saying no, or that I'm not able to do something for them at that time. But now I don't have that. I could say, hey, I really can't because I'm too busy. I pick and choose. And, and surrounding yourself with the people that you want to be around with. You saw that. It makes a big difference too, to have that mindset. And with the business partners that I've aligned myself with, oh my God, when you have that same mindset, but just be able to understand each other and share almost like the same passion about life, it makes business so much easier to do and run. I would have to, like Johnny is probably one of the guys that I love talking to because he's just in this spiritual journey, just like I am. And there's, other people that I actually talk to about that stuff. And to be able to express yourself in that sense, it's very freeing because now you're allowing to let your true self out and not feel like you have to hide from being you. And when you start expressing yourself more, the true yourself, the true person that you are inside, the easier it is for you to have those boundaries and actually have the type of people that you want to be around with, the energy that you want to attract starts coming, and the opportunities that you want starts kind of knocking at your door. And I've come to realize that I don't need to push, and I don't need to, like we said, what did we say, hustle so hard to get to where we want to be. If we just let the process go through itself and just enjoy it, it makes it so easy for good opportunities to come your way, and just not look for them, and they just come landing in your lap and you don't even know it's there. And opening my mind to just being accepting of what is right then and there has helped me just. No, I've been quiet a lot lately. I have, and my friends could probably, say like she hasn't, like, is she dead? Is she alive? Because we haven't heard from her. One of my friends actually texted me yesterday. She goes, "Are you okay? Are you alive?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm here. I'm just enjoying being a hermit crab. I'm enjoying the time to myself." But I before that would bother me, not have my friends around and not have anyone to talk to. But now I'm gotten to a point where, like, time to myself is very essential. We all need that. We all need that time to really sit with ourselves and either, meditate or whatever. Like, my meditation is running and walking. That's my meditation time. Um, my broker, she knits. That's her time to really be on her own space and just be there for it. But whatever she likes to do. Some people like to read books. That's a meditation. Anytime that you take a moment to take care of yourself, I call that meditation because that allows you to have a moment to just enjoy being you, and to really, it gives you a chance to take in what has happened to you and kind of internalize it and say, what is it about my day that doesn't apply to me right now, or not going to apply to me later on. But it makes you realize that the things that you have in your life, and what's important and what's not, and what those thoughts that are going in your head and what they really mean. Like, to me, running, and I don't have time to think about anything else except that my shin is hurting.
Let's say, I remember me being like, my legs are on fire.
I know, that's what I do. Like, I'm running, and then like a thought would come in. I'm like, oh crap, I needed to do this. Oh shit, I bet I pissed off somebody because of this and this and this. And I'm like, oh man, my thigh is really on fire right now. And it literally stops that thought out of my head. And I was like, oh, I don't have time to think about that because my thighs are on fire. I gotta think about my thighs. But it kind of it puts me back in the moment, and like, oh, I'm not thinking about that right now because right now my body says, oh, don't think about it. But I do force myself to think about it because it's important to really process those things, even if I'm hurting. Like, no, you're gonna deal with this right now. I don't care how much pain you're in. But like, to me, running is probably one of the best things that I've discovered or rediscovered about the things that I like to do about myself. Because I do love to run. I just never did it for a long, long, long time. And now I try to do 10 to 15 miles a week, which someone told me I'm crazy.
God, you're making my thighs hurt, and I'm not even running. Like, oh.
I did 8.5 1 week in one session. And then the week before that, I did like 8. And I make it a goal to break, a certain mile. So like, my next one is 10. I want to do 10 in one session. So that'll give me like 20 in a week.
More
So,
power to you. Oh,
but you know what? I've come to realize, it's important to go through. It's important to experience pain to get to your goal. Because for me to get to my 8 miles, I have to go through a lot of hurting with my shin and my ankles and my knees and and my thighs burning. But it's gonna get me to where I need to go. So there's always going to be a struggle, regardless what it is, what we try to reach, what goal we try to reach. There's always going to be some pain in the middle. Is how we actually handle and react to it is what's going to make a big difference out of it to get to your goal. And if you think about like how much the pain you're going to go through, we're going to have a hard time trying to get to that goal because we're not allowing ourselves to feel that pain, to feel that discomfort, because we don't want to do that. As human beings, adverse actions are not our thing. We like to be comfortable. We do. We love to be comfortable, but nothing ever comes out of comfort. To get through the other side, you gotta have discomfort. That's the only way. There's gotta be some struggle. Like you see bodybuilders, they didn't get to that point without, pumping muscles, without having 5 hours, without working 5 hours a day or whatever, how many times they go to the gym. No success person has ever gotten to that point where they're successful without going through a lot of pain and suffering. Oprah went through it. Tony Robbins went through it. I mean, these are the people I look up to. Dr. Les Brown's, Dr. Joe Dispenza actually made a list. Dr. Wayne Dyer, David Goggins. That guy is crazy.
Yeah, man. That book was life changing. Like his book was freaking. And you said Joe Dispenza. Hold on, you guys.
Oh,
okay, everybody. This is the book you need to have, like right now. Okay, I'm only like this much into it, but I just want to say, everybody on here, and I don't make any money for this. Okay, you need this book. Okay.
Yes. And you read The Surrender Experiment too, didn't you?
I have not. No, I was in the middle of The Untethered Soul, and I had a mentor say, you need to read this right now. Where I'm at, we're talking about spiritual journey. So where I'm at my spiritual journey, she's like, you want to read that because it's very relevant to what you're doing right now, and you need his meditations out of it.
Yeah.
But no, I actually have. I looked. The Surrender Experiment came back onto my Kindle, like, recommendations. I was like, all right. I feel like that's probably next. But right now I'm reading Becoming Supernatural and the Sophia Code, which is really, oh my God, you want to talk about like challenging every belief that you've ever grown up with as to what is like you're talking about the things you need, like what is the truth? Like, are these really my thoughts, or are they the things that have put onto me? That book, the Sophia Code, has challenged that in every capacity. And I think that's like, that's my favorite thing about it. But no, the Surrender Experiment, I had 5 other people tell me about that book. And I was like, okay.
Girl, it is the book that first actually challenged me to question about my belief, about my story, about myself. That is the thing that actually, the book that really got me to open my mind to, I need to start questioning about myself, and why do I really think I am this person? That whole ego driving you to think that you're this and you really are not. And that's like a big crusher right there. Like, oh God, I thought I was such a badass. No, I wasn't. I was just a dumbass. I wasn't willing to listen to anything. But yeah, it's funny that you talk about the Sophia Code. I'm gonna grab that book because I actually am interested in that now. Part of Awakening the Tiger, he talks about that, like how we're programmed from the age of 1 to 7 is like the biggest time of our life where we actually do a lot of our actions are all because of what we learned and what we were conditioned at that time of our life. And going back, and it makes it like I sit here and I'm just like, what? When you read a really good book, you're like, oh my God, did I really do that? Did I make the choice based on this? But it makes you think. And it breaks that pattern. And you're just like, okay, there's something about that time of my life that I really need to look into and why it affects me now. Because it makes a big difference in your thought patterns, in your thought process. in how you actually treat people and how you accept other people's opinions about you. Because we live in a social media world. Come on. Everybody wants to look pretty and they want to look like that girl, but they don't think about how that girl got to that point or how that guy got to that point.
Well, and I was gonna say, sorry, they don't think about like what is her narrative or what is his narrative. Like, listen, she might look like that, but inside she might be completely hollow. Like you just don't know somebody's narrative.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. You just don't know. So we drive ourselves to believe these people that we try to achieve ourselves to become, that, you know, we look at them like, oh, I could never be like that person. No, you can't, because you're not that person. You don't know their story. You have your own story. Whatever, if you want to look like that, you're never going to look like that. You're going to look like you. Whatever that goal is you have, maybe it's to kind of look like her. That's going to, I mean, it might propel you up to there. But you can't compare yourself to someone that you've never met and not know and you've never known their story, and then judge them and start talking about how this person got here when you really don't know where they came from. No, I'm probably one of those people that I start, there's my daughter. I start telling myself, I'm like, oh, this person said this about me. And then I start thinking to myself, I'm like, God, I'm such a piece of crap or whatever because of what this person said. Not even think, I'm like, did they even know my backstory? And I used to be so mad that nobody would care to listen to what happened to me. I'm just gonna say me because it's me here at standing. And when my husband was going through his PTSD, now he's hell of a lot better than he was then. He's gone through so many challenges and, you know, have come out on the other side a hell of a better person. And he's taught me a lot as far as, you know, changing your story in your life, because for a long time he believed he should have been just a firefighter and retired as that. And he did retire, but it cost him his it caused him a lot of emotional havoc, a lot of um pain and suffering, you know, a lot of, not just with him but with me as a partner. And I you know, and it took me a long time to get to this point to not really forgive and forget, but to realize that whatever had happened to us and to me before is not going to propel me to become a better person. So I need to learn to let go of those things and forgive myself for not knowing any better then, but I know better now, and this is how I need to really um, get through this part of my life, to let that go and start a new chapter, to let go of that pain and suffering that I've carried for so long, and the thing that I labeled myself as this trauma person, that, you know, the person that got trauma from someone who was experiencing PTSD. That was my label. That was my victim label right here. Vicarious PTSD that nobody wants to listen to. I carried that for a long time, and I was angry. I was so angry. And, you know, I'll tell you, it was 3 nights ago that I've come to realize that about myself. So it hasn't been that long. I grabbed my book and I started writing in there why I felt that way. And it opened my mind and I started laughing. 3 o'clock in the morning, and I started laughing. And I'm like, holy crap, that's a big discovery right there about myself. And it it opened my mind to really you know, diving more into why do I let other people's opinion really bother me so much, and letting making sure that they know my story. Like, I have to prove a point constantly to these people. And that was one of the biggest things that I've realized about myself, that I have to be heard. I have to be heard. I mean, previously that's what I would say. I have to be heard. No, I don't need to be heard. I heard myself. I heard myself. I realized that I was not taking accountability for my own thoughts and my own actions. I was blaming somebody else. Instead of instead of being proactive about my thoughts, I was reacting to them. And it didn't do me any good, except it took me on a loop over and 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 over again.
Hmm.
And I will tell you, all this really started when I broke through and jumped out of that airplane, and that made a really big difference in my mindset. And when I stopped playing victim, and when I stopped that girl from boohoo crying at the past, and just taking what the past was as a lesson learned rather than it's my future, things look different. I react to things a little differently now. I'm quieter, that's for sure. But well, when you're around me, you can tell that I'm not really quiet, and I talk a lot. And when I am quiet, I just tell people, "Be right back. I'm feeding my unicorn."
I was wondering what that was. In the back, I kept looking. I'm like, what is that?
Yeah, I said, "Be right back. I'm feeding my unicorn."
Love it.
But yeah, I can get into this. I don't know how many hours, and I think, Alex, this is probably what I'm going to be talking about. I know I've been trying to figure out what it is that I really want my message is going to be. This is it, is trying to break through rewriting your story.
Well, and I want to say something, because actually that's really funny that you talk about that. I had a friend, and he's had a lot of struggles and demons in his life, and he's held a lot of stuff. And he talked about how he had walked around through his life carrying what he thought was a life sentence. And I said, I think a lot of us do that. We go through life and we carry these life sentences that only we have put upon ourselves. Right. And it's funny. And the other part that I told him was, and you talked about this too, is people are only going to ever meet you at their own level. And the way they see you is not actually a representation of you. It's their perception of you based on past experiences. So really, when someone is getting an impression of you, it's generally not any an actual impression of you as a person. It's the impression of their own perception of you based on the glasses, let's say it, the metaphorical lenses that they're actually viewing you through. So in that in itself, I tell people, I say, can be the most freeing thing, because then you can go, listen, I'm still me, and no matter how I show up, you're still going to see me one way. You're going to think me one way, or whatever way. And what that does is allow, I told him, it allows you to take a step back and realize that you really are the only person that has to validate yourself. Because at the end of the day, you could be the nicest person. You could be Mother freaking Teresa, and somebody's going to go,
yeah.
Like, yeah. But yeah, no, I think we walk around and we carry this life sentence with us, and we think this is it. This is how life is always going to be. And the reality is as long as you say that this is the way it's always going to be, guess what? That's the way it's always going to
be. And me and you, we're all about energy. We talk about energy a lot. And what you project out there is not about them. It's about you. Mm-hmm. So however you, I guess it's how you're treating that person and how they treat you back. It's not necessarily the person that they are. That's just what you're projecting out there. So whatever energy you're trying to tell the world is going to give you exactly that. Universe is not prejudice. It's going to give you exactly what you offered it. So now this is why I'm so aware and so conscious about my thoughts, because what's in my head, and I've proven this over and over again, and I know you get this too, is whatever is in your head is what's going to come out eventually out there.
Yeah. So at your own detriment, unfortunately.
Yeah, exactly. So your own worst enemy. And I was telling this to a friend earlier today, if someone hurts you and then you start feeling like you need to attack this person because they hurt you, now it's not about them. Now it's about you. You don't really know the entire story. As much as pain that you have because of what this person did, you have to make a choice. Either you let that bother you, or you let that be a life lesson.
Well,
So
I was going to say, and I challenge it even further, is when that happens, instead of closing off, which has been hard for me in the past because I used to be a reactive person. I was like, oh, hell no. Like, what? This person woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. I was like, I challenge myself further. It's like, how can I meet this person with love? Is love for me, and not even just love for them, but love for myself as well. Is love for me just keeping my mouth shut and walking off and letting them like, okay, you know what? They're having a bad day. It's all good. Sometimes love is going, hey, are you good? Because y'all, we really don't know what, like you said, we don't know people's story. Y'all, they could be having a bad freaking day and you just happen to be right there at the wrong moment. And I wouldn't even call it the wrong moment because maybe they're having a bad day and they're just sitting there going, God, I wish somebody would just like ask me if I'm okay. And you're that person that just got chosen to go. And so I always say, not only can you take that time to like evaluate that, but ask yourself like, okay, how can I show up in this spot in love? Like, how can I show up as love? Because, that changes shit, man. Like, just you talk about like how you talk to yourself. How can I show up for myself from a space of love today? You want to talk about like life changing? That was my biggest challenge. How can I show up for myself in a space of love today? How do I love myself today?
But I think a lot of times we misunderstood when we say we love ourselves. When somebody say that about themselves, we take that as your self-centered and selfish. But if we take that out and you just say, I love myself, you really do love yourself, then nothing will come out but love out of that. There's just there's no other choice. So for me, when someone say, I say this a lot, and I look up, and it's weird for a little while when you do it. When you look at yourself in the mirror and just say, I love myself. It is the weirdest thing. It is the weirdest thing. You're like, oh my God, what are you doing? It's like witchcraft, Like, I love myself. I'm a wonderful person. I'm an amazing person. But we're not used to doing that. We're not used to validating our good crap, good stuff about us. We only validate the bad things. And then that repeats and that repeats and it repeats. And all the good stuff gets hidden about us. It gets hidden about us. Well, once we validate those good things, nothing but love comes out of it. Nothing. That's the only choice that will come out is love. So you've got to, like, Alex is the biggest, I guess, the person that I really look up to when she starts talking about like coming from a place of love. Just watching her face, and I've learned this just from watching her. She is just nothing but pure joy. She really is. You watch her, you can't help but smile because she's so happy. And like, I want to be in that. I want to be in that bubble with her, And she's so young, but she's taught me so much. The same with my oldest daughter. She's taught me a lot about life, and because I've come from a place to where I grew up with, differently than she did, and I've raised her differently than what my parents did. And that's that could be another episode, is what how we are now is actually how our parents were. Our parents raised us just the way they were raised. But
I think we could put, it's like how to not be the way you were raised.
Yeah.
How to not be the way you were raised, because I had that conversation with someone that I filled out a thing and I said, listen, I said, talking about raising a teen. I have a 14-year-old now. And I said, I'm just going to tell you, and putting it in like this document. I said, I don't parent conventionally. I don't parent conventionally. I'm just going to let you know that. So the way I look at parenting is different, because they asked like for resources. And I said, I don't know if you have the resources I need, but I'll just put it in there. I said, conscious parenting. I said, conscious parenting. I said, I need that.
And we try to parent our kids the way our parents parent us. But the one thing about my children is I really do, when they say something to me, it really hit hard a lot of times. And now I really am more conscious about what they say and like, okay, so what made him say that? What did I do that I can change? Or what conversation can we have so we can actually open this table? My oldest daughter is like the biggest person when it comes to this. This child is just like, how did I raise you? I mean, she's just such a free spirit, you know? She's seriously, she's my twin in a different body. she's but she is the most wonderful person to just kind of let out all this stuff with, and she never judges. Never. And she doesn't tell you how you're feeling. She just listens. And she doesn't have an opinion of out of anything. When she does want to say something, she'll say, "Oh, maybe it's this and this and this and this." She never say, "This is how you're feeling. This is why you're feeling this way." And I've learned a lot just from that, just from those little moments when she would listen to me and not say anything. She's she's very mature for her age. Well, okay, kind of mature for her age, but I mean, I'm not mature for my age.
You know what? I actually released that word maturity because you know, if it were, and it, you know what, I was gonna say if it were up to me, but you know what, it is up to us. Well, who wants to be mature? Like, there's nothing better than continuing to, like, and you've seen it, those people that are well into their 90s and they act like they're 9, and you're just like, what are they taking?
Yeah.
And I go, you know what? I hope I have that. I hope that as
a lot of times is, you know, the world makes us like that. And we lose that childlike disposition about ourselves because we gotta be a certain way to do a certain things or be successful at whatever, blah 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 blah, you know. And
can I just say something real quick? This should be the name of your book that you're going to write. Mature is overrated.
Look, my sister-in-law is going to take credit on that one.
Mature is overrated.
You get credit for my book.
There you go. Mature is overrated.
It is. I'm probably the biggest child ever. A lot of people can tell you that. I come into the room and I'm like bouncing off the wall. I drink 6 cups to 8 cups of coffee a day. I don't really need the caffeine. I don't need the caffeine. And by the way, tell them why letting go of caffeine is good for your skin.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So I was telling Mary, we were catching up about what we've been doing, and I said I've been off caffeine for a month now, you guys. And granted, I've drank like a ton more water, but I've been off caffeine for a month. And for anybody who's considering the leap, please, for the love of God, get off the caffeine. My skin, you guys, I got to get like up close here. Like, it's a little bit red. I have not had one breakout, not one, since like a week after quitting. Like, I had blemishes that would not go away in certain spots, and I haven't had one. Not one. My skin is like so friggin' soft. It's ridiculous. And for anybody who's wondering like what my skincare routine is, I use some St. Ives natural face scrub, like their blackhead blemish. And then I use a very base hyaluronic, like it doesn't even have hyaluronic acid. It's a tea tree oil thing for my face, and that's it. That's all I do. I don't do anything else.
Yeah. I don't do much in my face either. It's funny because then I have a TikTok. See, big kid. So I have a TikTok and I do stupid videos in there. And one of the videos was a challenge that says, show the kids how graceful aging, what it looks like to age gracefully. And a lot of these people don't believe I'm the age that I am. They're like, no way, you're just looking for likes. I'm like, I don't even care about likes. I really don't care. I'm just here having fun. And I was like, no, I really am gonna be 46 next month. Like,
yeah, you don't look 46.
Today is gonna be my 46th birthday. So I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be 50 soon. Oh my God. I'm like, yeah, whatever. 50's 50.
50 is like when you have the big party, man. You're like, I have made it like 50 is a gift, man. I had my 30th birthday was the first birthday. You talk about doing something. I wasn't alone though, but you talk about like doing something for yourself. I knew that 30 was going to be my big birthday. Like I said, I'm going to do something for myself because I don't ever do anything. And I remember I got my hair done, I did my makeup, I got all dressed up, and I took myself out to dinner for my birthday. Took my daughter and my best friend came with me, but for the first time like in 30 years, I went and I did something for myself. And I'm telling you, man, like that's freaking life changing. Like doing that and seeing that you can do that, that you don't need somebody else to do it for you, is absolutely like that's monumental. I mean, the same year I decided it's a funny story. Well, I'm going to tell it real quick since we're on this. I broke up with an ex-boyfriend the same year. And the next day I decided I wanted a tattoo, and I was living in Florida. I'd moved back and I said, I want a tattoo. So me and my best friend went and got tattoos together. And so I have a tattoo on my wrist that says donut worry. Like it's a donut and it says worry. This is like so hard to do here. Anyways. And then the next day, a dream of mine on my bucket list had always been to go riding a bike on the beach because I'm from Clearwater. And I was like, I really want to. So the next day after getting this tattoo, and newly single, I go and I ride a bike on the beach for like 3 hours. I had the freaking time of my life. And, so yeah, man, that's why like, I'm like over here, just like, I love this story so much.
It's a breakthrough that a lot of us women, especially, we don't want to do because we've been trained and we've been, conditioned that we always need to have someone with us, or we need to be with certain people to enjoy certain things in our life. No, you don't need to. Go ahead, take yourself out to dinner, go get a spa treatment or whatever. To me, it was, I get to do all these things in my bucket list. I'm not waiting for anyone else to help me with that because I'm the one who's responsible in making sure that I actually go through this and check off the items that are on here. That you can't do. At the end of the day, all you've got is really you. So the whole thing about self-love, self-care, and validating yourself should not be dependent upon somebody else, regardless who the person is. It's always gonna be on you. There's no one else out there that can take care of you, that can love you, that can treat you right, other than yourself. But we have to recondition our mind to mother ourselves and care for ourselves like we do with our kids. Give ourselves that unconditional love. And we're not good at that. It takes a lot of work, a lot of reconditioning in our head to get to that point. And it's taking me years to even get to this tiny little part of myself, to accept that part where I'm okay being on my own. I'm okay being me. I'm okay being this person. I really don't need anyone else to say that, I'm good at this or I'm good at that or whatever. If I messed up, I messed up. It's part of life. We're not, none of us are perfect. And that's one thing that I have to realize about myself too, that I was not perfect. I am very, very imperfect. But that's okay. That's okay.
All
We
right.
have to accept it.
Well, Mary, I really hate ending this conversation. It's already an hour, like they were.
I know.
You'll have to come back on. Seriously. And Jade said, oh no, don't tell me that about giving up the caffeine. I promise you guys, it's like the best decision you'll ever make in your life, but do it, wean yourself. Don't like just jump off don't jump out the airplane of getting off caffeine. Don't do that. I promise you. Okay. And Jade says perfectly imperfect. Amen to that. But all right. So this is the part though. I'm going to give you a few more minutes. I always ask people this. If someone came up to you and asked you for 3 pieces of advice to help them through their journey, what would be the 3 pieces you would give them?
One, I think that's probably the biggest thing is forgive yourself for whatever happened to you or what happened to you, what somebody did to you. It has nothing to do with them. It has something to do with you. You didn't know any better, so forgive yourself. Fold with grace. The second one would be do what the hell you want.
I don't know.
bucket list. You don't need anyone else to tell you to go do it.
Amen.
Just do it. Like jumping out of that airplane. Next is scuba diving. So now that's one of my things.
Love scuba diving.
Stop listening to other people.
I want to give you a high five for the thing.
Stop listening to other people. The only opinion that matters is yours. Speak with love within yourself. You are, like my sister-in-law said, perfectly imperfect, and that's okay.
And that is also, you are unfuckwithable when you get to that point.
Yes, yes, you are.
I always love it, man. Like that's the perfect example. Like I couldn't have pinned that any better as to what that means. And so that was beautiful. It's just like, I just want to say thank you so much, man. Like so much of your story, like what you talked about resonated so hard with me at where I'm at in life. So it's a beautiful thing because we talk about coming back and taking the pause. And what I don't talk about is how much I've struggled with the pause, right? Because when you are starting a business or you're like me and you're kind of a year into it and you hit that point where you're not doing what you thought you would be doing, you thought that this is what success had to look like and you defined a lot of it by that. And you go online and you see all these other people doing it and you're like, God, I must be fucking up somewhere. I must be. And you realize, I had to realize like, no, you're not. You're where you need to be. That's their journey. This is yours. And I struggled so hard with that part of it. Like taking that pause for me, you talk about having high energy. Like this has been, you want to talk about some shit coming up. I'm like, I used to tell people, I said, if you want to make me sit down, you're going to have to make me sit on, when they tell kids to sit on their hands, the ones who like do this, like you have to sit on your hands. Yeah, that was me. And I struggled. So for me to hear you say that is like just a very good reminder, like, you're good. Like, don't let any of the other shit like bother you. You're good. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to. And I even want to add something to what you said. You talked about speaking kindly. I have started practicing, instead of naming all the things that I didn't accomplish today, I've started making myself name off 3 things that I did do today. What did you do today? Like I got out of the shower. I said, I did my podcast episode. I said, and I canned jam, and I really wanted to can jam, and that made me happy. And I said, and I meditated today, and I did my routine. And I was like, so I started naming off stuff that made me happy. And I'll tell you what, that'll like put you right back in there. You'd be like, oh, look at that.
There you go. There you go.
Thank you. But oh my gosh, thank you so much. Like this has been so awesome. I'm so glad that we got to do this. I love all the episodes. Like I know I say that. I love all the episodes. I think everybody comes on, but I'm always really excited when I've been talking to someone for a long time. Like one day I'm gonna share one day, and then that one day comes, and it's like just to see what happens when they share their story is very transformative. I think it just gives me a tremendous sense of joy. So
I know, I'm so happy to have met you. I'm so happy Alex and I put us in. Well, actually, she didn't. She made me choose it. So I didn't chose you.
But here's the serendipitous meetings, right? I was going to say coincidences, but there are no coincidences, you guys. We're all fated at some place to meet. And she said, oh, Kate said, that's cool. Oh, okay. I met Kate too. I cannot remember where I met her from, but I'm very glad I met her too. So props to her. She shared her story on some part of her story on her Facebook the other night. I was so proud. I was like, look at her doing so anyway,
once in our life.
I know. Oh my gosh. So tell everybody where they can like connect with you, because I think everybody should connect with you.
They can either follow me or add me on Facebook. I don't know where I'm at on my friends list on Facebook, but DM me any questions that you have. If you have something that you want to run by me, or just you need an ear to somebody to listen to you, I'm here. I don't know. I guess I don't know how to pin my name or my Facebook on there.
I have you tagged in there. I have you tagged.
Okay. Yep.
All right. Be sure to connect. She's awesome. You will love it. You will love it. But we are now 5 minutes past. We are 5 minutes past. And I I don't want to pronounce her name because I'm afraid I'm going to screw it up.
Yukiko?
Yeah.
They call her Yuki. Actually, her nickname was Dr. Pepper when we were in
there you go. I like it. I like
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's a story for another time.
Exactly. That is a story for another time. She's been one of my longest best friend in a long. I mean, we met when we were like 15 or 16.
Oh my God. That reminds me, like, I have a best friend from that time. I'm going to have to have her come on. Although I'm not sure, I'm going to have to tell her that there are boundaries. Like, listen, you can't talk about this. We're just going to pretend that never happened. Don't worry. You just leave it there. Don't worry. We're not going to say anything. We're going to just, you know what? Let's go from high school afterwards. Let's talk about after high school. How about that? All right, you guys. Thank you so much, Mary, and everybody. I am so grateful for all of you guys. This show gives me life, man. Like I hear all the time about what people have gotten from it, and I'm just like, that leaves me in awe sometimes. Like to hear people like randomly say, "Oh my God, like that changed my life," or that like hit me. Like just to hear that is amazing. So, and I'm just really appreciative for you, Mary, and for anybody who comes on here, because this is not an easy thing to do. I know some people, we talk about sharing our story, but the one thing that I've learned from all of this is that sharing your story is, while it is the most liberating thing I think you can do, it can be the hardest thing to do. So I'm always incredibly grateful and honored for the people who show up and allow me to hold space, because that's a gift in and of itself. So I just want to say that like y'all would just make my whole entire life. Y'all don't even know. Like, you want to talk about meditation? Being able to be present in these conversations is the greatest meditation I do, like twice a week, like the greatest meditation. I literally sit here and I just hum with all this energy. I'm like, oh my God, this is great. So
you have some awesome guests, though. I mean, you do. I mean,
I think all the best. And what's even better is, like, as the show continues to evolve, like the panels now is even amazing. Like that, it just, oh my gosh, I always think, like, if anything I keep doing for the rest of my life, I hope it's this in some capacity. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for being on. I know we're like way past the hour. So anyways, I will see you guys Tuesday for the next panel. We're going to go right back into the masculine and the feminine. I really want to start diving a little bit more into how to embody those energies within ourselves. We're talking about spirituality. That's like the mama and pop of spirituality right there. And go look up. Oh, Mary, tell them what was the name of that book again, in case anybody's wondering.
Well, the one that I recently read that I totally fell in love with is Waking the Tiger by Peter Levine.
Okay.
That's one of the most, probably most encouraging book and eye-opening book I've read in a very long time, aside from the Surrender Experiment. But yeah, it talks a lot about trauma, and we all have some sort of trauma in our life, and it's a very helpful book.
All right, so I wrote it in the comments. So, Waking the Tiger.
Waking the Tiger.
Oh my gosh. All right, you guys. Oh, I don't want to save it. Oh, whatever. Okay. All right, you guys. So thank you so much. I will see you guys Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to kick ass some more on another amazing panel. And as always, I will see you guys later. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for coming.